Welcome to another episode of Security Minutes. I have with me Craig and Claudia. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Great to be here in Brisbane with you.
This is a topic I'm really interested in. Craig, I'll start with you because, we're seeing increasing reports of threat actors infiltrating organizations posing as legitimate workers and contractors. I'm just curious, can you explain how this works?
Yeah, it's a number of different levels. We've got the physical side, first of all, where someone applies for a job, they get interviewed, they get hired, and they turn up at the office. They get access to all the IT and security systems, and therefore then you have potentially a threat actor working directly in your organisation in the office. The other side, though, is what we're seeing more of now, and this is where we're seeing state actors potentially going and applying for jobs, and they're getting an interview, and then COVID, we went online, didn't we? We do these interviews online. It's not very often we come in and have a physical interview or we come physically into work. And I think IT is a perfect case of this because there are so many remote workers.
You're right about that.
So we saw a lot of this in the reporting went on in the US, and actually I think CISA, their cybersecurity agency there, issued a warning around this. But we're seeing this more now in countries such as Australia and New Zealand as well. So again, how does an organisation know who they're interviewing, who they're employing, and also who are they giving the access to their systems and networks?
Even here in our organization, we're told when you're interviewing someone online to make sure that you meet with them physically before making them an offer. It's just incredible to me that this is something that we're dealing with nowadays.
But it's no different to criminals historically doing this thing. They've done it, get someone inside a bank to work inside a bank. They've just adapted as cyber has adapted, or cyber criminals have adapted as well.
I guess where there's a will, there's a way.
It goes beyond, I think, just sending back the salary each month to the home country that we're talking about here. These state actors can potentially be looking to gain secrets into an organisation as well, and learn all about the infrastructure that the organisation runs on. So in the case that it needs to cause a disruption, they can do so.
You're absolutely right about that. And it kind of leads me to my next question. Why are these campaigns so difficult for organizations to detect?
Craig is right in that essentially the fact that it is in a remote environment, you really have to rely on user behavior indicators to understand what a user is doing on the network. And since these roles are largely in developer environments, they use things like remote access tooling, essentially privilege escalated tools, to allow them to complete their jobs and their day-to-day work. Essentially, these threat actors are just utilizing tools that a regular developer would, which makes it really hard for a traditional defense system on a network to have alerts that trigger to say that there's been an anomaly in a behavior that a user is performing.
I mean, it's hiding in plain sight, effectively.
It is, and the tools are becoming commoditized. We talked about, years ago, ransomware as a service and how that kind of commoditized ransomware. Now the ability to, fake who you are, you can get those tools online.
Identification, isn't it? That's what it boils down to. It's the identification side of it.
Synthetic identities are becoming a major enabler for cyber criminals. So before I ask you a follow-up question, can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so synthetic identity is basically creating a persona or a person or a background which is not necessarily real. But actually the way they make it and synthesize it is they might use a combination of real world identities. So let's just say they might pick up a profile on LinkedIn. Okay, we've got this person, we know they're an IT consultant, and that's their name. Okay, let's pick up a birth certificate under that name as well. And it almost comes like this Frankenstein person, effectively. And they create this and then use this. And it might take a year or so to get it out there because they're working on it all the time. And this is where the crime groups are very good at this. You look at the cyber criminals having initial access brokers, that's one department. Well, you're now looking at, crime groups that are looking to create these personas in much the same way as we used to create false identities on passports and things like that as well. This is what's happening now in that virtual, that online world.
I think I'll just add to that as well. We're actually seeing, for developer roles especially, they have to undertake technical interviews to prove their skill to work in a company. We've actually seen in the past year that these threat actors are actually reaching out to developers and saying, hey, we've got a massive money-making scheme, we'd like you to be a part of it. All you need to do is write us some code and be able to log into this device and perform your job, and we'll be able to send you a certain amount of money to essentially do this small amount of work. So people are actually roped into this idea.
Right.
So they've created
Interesting.
a synthetic identity, but then on top of that, they have a real person in the background that's doing the developer work for them as
Right.
well.
And they're using, like, what types of information are they using to build these identities?
Well, you're the open source expert here.
Yeah.
With AI now, it's becoming really easy to do so. There's so many social media platforms and portfolio platforms where developers can, show their flashy skills of what languages they know, any amazing projects they've worked on and so forth. And so it's really easy for threat actors to really pull together something that would be trendy to a job who wants to hire a specific developer that knows a specific language. They would have access to that information to know what organizations are interested in and what they like to hire for.
So, I mean, it really begs the question, like, what should organizations be doing to better defend against these types of identity-based attack vectors? Craig, do you have a view on that?
So I think one is the HR processes, first of all, when you're hiring people, who or what company you're using to hire those people, first of all. So that's one area of it. But also, it's once you have someone working for you and contracting in, what levels of access are they given as a contractor within side, okay? So, you're looking at that hygiene side within their detection and then also the architecture. I mean, I had it personally where I hadn't been in an organisation for over a year. I had an access card to that organisation. A year later, I went back, my access card worked. Simple steps about, do you have physical access? Do you have, access to networks and folders? Is that restricted to certain time scales as well? Or if someone logs in outside of a time area, it may not seem odd, but actually you would look more potentially at a contract you've brought in for a piece of work than you may look at one of your own employees. So, prioritizing the work that you do, because some of those signs get lost just in the noise of a normal data flow and system and traffic. So trying to work out and prioritize that side of it is really, really important.
Claudia, any insights from you?
I think as organizations are moving to more automation as well, a lot of things are being left behind where they're not actually realizing they're leaving. So things such as shadow IT.
Yeah.
When developers or teams are working with automated scripts and on a timetable, essentially, it could be leaving holes that an organization may not even be aware of. So that could mean leaving a privileged user enabled for an extended amount of time, and they may not have been at the company for the past 6 months, which is a really easy way for threat actors to find access into that if their credentials, if it's in combination with their credentials being leaked on the dark web per se.
And I think, as I'm listening to both of you, I'm thinking about like the fundamentals of cybersecurity, and they very much still apply here. Zero trust network access, privileged access management. Even as we see all this evolution with AI, still getting the fundamentals right is so important, isn't it?
I think someone said the same thing, can we stop cybercrime? Well, take the word cyber out, can we stop crime? No.
No, you're right.
As a society, we've not stopped crime. But I just felt we had an opportunity in the cyberspace because you have a technical capability there. And if you write the code correctly, if you apply it correctly, if your teams use it correctly, you can reduce a huge amount and protect. The technical aspect is there, but it's not always at the forefront when we're building networks. Or also, we've got old architecture, which we're just bolting on as well.
Yeah. Thank you both, incredibly insightful. And if you'd like to learn more about how Data3 can help you with your identity-based security challenges, please reach out to your Data3 account manager. Thank you very much.